What's up guys? So today in part 2 of this shifter cart build from scratch, what we're going to do is fabricate the frame using these tubes, a welder, tube bender, tube notcher. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm starting off with this back section. I'm doing this rail right now, this rear rail, and I'm doing this back section first because it's all flat. If you can see in this view, the back section is all flat. So that's what we're going to start with. I got my piece of tube cut right here. Now for the notching section of this, I have a magnetic angle finder right here and another one down there, just to make sure I'm square. So this one's the angle, because this isn't like very accurate. So just get the precise angle that I need to notch it. Okay, so I now have my first finished piece. I just checked all the measurements and they're all good. I have the notched edge, which is cleaned up on the grinder. The bend is in the correct location. The legs are the correct lengths. That's one piece down. Now a bunch more to go. Alright, so I just secured everything together with these 90-degree magnets. I measured the distance between them, both across here and across here, just spaced them out. And the distance is exactly the same. So that's perfect. These two are perfectly parallel, which is exactly what we want. So now I can move on to creating some more pieces. The next pieces I have are two other straight pieces. These two pieces right here, those two straights. Alright, so I'm done for today. I've been working the past 6 hours or so I'm getting a little tired. So I'm just gonna wait to do some more tomorrow. So just so I can take my time, keep my patience up, you know. So this is what I got all done today. I'm pretty happy with it. It's actually more than I thought I was gonna get done today. So let's check it out. So there it is, all laid out, notched, all ready to go. The two sides of the frame with the another engine support rail. Nothing is welded in yet. It's just sitting there with the magnets just for shape. And then the other seat mounting posts there. Haven't done any work on the front end, but tomorrow I'm going to start with the diagonal bar that goes that way, and then I'm going to start working on the front.
I just like the sound of it. Check this out.
is complete. So all that's left is this front portion, which is actually 3-dimensional. So the rear end I started with first because it's all just on a 2D plane, I guess. If you look from the top, you know, there's no 3D angles. They're all 2-dimensional.
I just like the sound of it.
So I've just decided that it's going to be way too hard to mock up the front without welding the back and getting it all fixed together. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to tack weld the back, form it up into place just so it won't shift, and then I'm going to mock up the front to that. Just because making the pieces on their own, I don't really know if they're going to line up, and I would like to adjust them, the notching and everything, just so it lines up perfectly. So what I'm going to do, tack weld the back right now, everything together, everything that I have in the back in that 2-dimensional plane. And then I'm going to start working from there to mock up the front section. So let's get this thing fitted up. I just got all the dimensions and I'm going to hold together with some welding magnets and we're going to tack this thing up. So let's go. What I've actually decided to do is just take a step back and replan how I was going to attack this front end. So what I've decided to do is, on the design, make these two front pieces and then weld them together. I've got all the dimensions, so I can get, well, tack weld at least, I can get everything notched at the right angles and tack weld together. And then with those two pieces, all I need are the other two pieces attaching the rear to that front section. And I'll be able to know exactly what angles from there to make everything match. And then everything will line up with the design, and it's just a better way of going about it. So I'm going to start by making this front bumper piece, which is probably one of the more complicated pieces in terms of bending, because it has two bends and they're pretty large bends. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to this one. But it's kind of like this, but it goes on the front for the front bumper. So I'm going to measure out this piece of tube, get it all marked up, get it into the bender, make some bends, and go from there in terms of lining everything up and notching. So right here I have the front piece mocked up with the back piece. It's all tack welded together. And now I just need to work on the pieces that connect here and here. And those are the last two pieces of this 1 1/4 frame. So you can see this is the piece that I originally made before making the front end, just to see, because I thought I'd be able to make it without the reference, but you can see like my notching was way off. My notching would put this piece way over here, and it should be rotated a good 30 degrees. So what I'm gonna do is remake 2 of these pieces. Now I'll be able to line them up with the front end, so I can get the notching correct and to the orientation of the bend, and then make those just identical, square up everything, and then tack weld that into place. And then I will have the whole thing tack welded. So I'm gonna go make those 2 pieces and line up everything now.
I just like the sound of it.
So I've got the 1 1/4 stuff all tacked up and it's all good. I checked all the measurements and stuff. So now what I'm gonna do is go around and fully weld up every single joint before I do the 3/4 stuff. And that's just because when I start adding the other stuff, it's gonna get a little bit more difficult to weld the full joints. And I mean, if I already have it done like this, I might as well fully weld it. So I'm gonna fully weld up everything, make it all neat and strong. So that's what we're gonna do now. So the first piece I'm gonna make is this front bumper piece. I have the tube cut here, which is gonna go up 9 degrees down. And it's gonna be a 3-degree tilt up from horizontal. Alright, so these are the steering column supports right here. They're bent and they're just tack welded in right now. The tops were flattened. These were flattened in the vise, hit with a hammer and then cleaned up with a grinder, just put the hole in it, just like that. So the steering block, the up one, will go in here. Next 2 pieces attach up here to the front, and then hold on the bottom section right here. Alright, so starting the steering. This is what I've done. Got those straight pieces, and I've tack welded them into place. Welded on this side right here. Top pieces here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about these black pieces right now. So I'm using Delrin for all these components. I have black Delrin. This is black Delrin. Making the other support out of black Delrin, and that's because Delrin is a very hard plastic, but it still wears, and it's going to reduce friction a lot. So this piece, just like that, got a little press fit into this tube, just like that. So it was flanged a little bit. So there you go, that's the bottom portion. Now we got to make the part that goes in between the upright posts. So get some M8 holes through there, and then, or actually through this side, and then 5/8 hole in the middle, and then I might round it off and make it actually like look nice instead of just a block. Alright guys, so I've just got set up the rear axle with the axle bearing hangers. And what I'm going to do is tack weld it in place. Check to make sure everything's all good on it. And then I'll be able to fully weld it up. Alright, so I have this whole axle hangers, everything, it's all welded up, good and strong like it should be. What we're going to be doing now is mounting these spindles like this, and I have to cut these down. These are a little bit longer than they should be, so we're going to cut them. I'm going to cut this one first. We're going to get 10 degrees of the kingpin angle, which is pretty much camber, but the wheels themselves will not have camber. So 10 degrees, this right now is about 20, so it's going to be a little bit less, 10 like that, and then caster like this, and we're going to do 12 degrees of caster. So 10 degrees of kingpin angle, 12 degrees of caster, and then I'm going to match it on that side as well, get it tacked up, check it a whole bunch, and then fully weld these guys up. And then we can work on the welding on the part that actually holds the wheel and do some Ackerman angle with those. So a lot to do. So as you can see, I got the other spindle all mounted up, and they are in the exact same positions. It took me a very long time, but I wanted to get them perfect. I used 2 angle finders. So I had one to get the camber, or the kingpin angle, and then another to get the caster. I was able to measure the rotation with this, which is kind of like the toe, I guess. And then also just with a ruler measuring the height, making sure it's all centered. So they have the exact same measurements. They're pretty much identical. So I'm pretty happy with that. It did take a lot of time to get it exact. So I'm glad that I was finally able to get it. So now I'm going to check them one more time just to make sure that it's exactly what I want. And then I'm going to weld them all up fully so that they don't move. And then we can get working on the rest of the spindles. Alright, so here's what we're doing for the spindles. As you can see, I have a wood block with a hole in it, and the spindle rod just in it. And I propped it up with a magnet, and I put a level on it so I can check how level it is, push it up against this, and then tack weld this on into place. Then I can take it off and fully weld around it with this tube on it and a shaft collar, and then that should be it for the spindles. So we're going to do this one, see how it goes, and then do the other one. So here's the spindle, just like that. It doesn't have the spindle arm, but the rest of it is complete. I have a wheel right here, just to show you how it's kind of going to go. Just like that. So pretty much how they're made is, it's a grade 8 bolt. You don't want to use like grade 5. I mean, you could, but grade 8 is better. It's not going to snap on you, which is always good. And what I'm doing is taking this piece that goes through the spindle bracket, and I'm welding it onto this, which is, this is parallel to the ground. And I'm also welding this little shaft collar to this pipe, and then that's going to go right up against the edge, and it's all welded together, like all the way around there for a nice clean look. Alright guys, so that's all for the frame today, and this is actually all for part 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed part 2 of this video, fabricating the frame all up like this. In part 3, we're going to finish the steering, get it to actually turn with the steering column. We're going to mount the seat, mount the engine, get the wheels all on it, and start working on the shifter. So that's going to be part 3, and I'll see you next week for that.